What's up guys, Carol K here. I'm in the studio and I am super excited to finally show you all the gear that I've been using over the past 8 to 10 years, some gear I've had for a very long time. Over the years, I've produced many different types of tracks, and a lot of which have ended up on YouTube. This setup is a result of the past 8 to 10 years of me going through different stages of I need everything to maybe I don't need everything to scaling down pretty much 90% of the gear that I have and selling off most of it and only ending up with like the bare minimum. My current mindset right now for my rig is, what's the littlest possible amount of gear that I can have in this room to have a neat environment? So my current setup is a result of that. With all that said, we'll start with the heart of the studio, which is the computer. My favorite computer to use in a desktop setting for a studio is the iMac. And the reason why is because the iMac is this all-in-one computer package, and it comes with this incredible screen that would otherwise cost you $2,000 to set up as an external monitor. And another thing that I love about the iMac is that it's always made my desk look extremely sleek and clean. And the fact that I'm not having to run any wires from computer to monitor, I think makes a huge difference in the overall look of my desk. And that to me is a very important aspect of my creative process, because if my space looks dirty or messy or things are out of place, I have a really hard time creating. A quick side note, you can do anything on a PC as well as you can on a Mac. It's all about what you prefer personally, and having gone from a PC, it's not my personal preference. I'm more of a visual type of person, and I find that Apple products are a little bit more intuitive and easier to use. And when I'm creating, I generally don't want to think too technically because I'm kind of in a creative flow, so I'm a huge fan of Apple products for that very reason. And as far as software goes, I use Logic Pro X. I've been a huge fan pretty much as soon as I discovered that it existed. I started off with GarageBand, which is basically the younger brother of Logic Pro, and it's a lot less technical, a lot less advanced, but that's exactly what it's designed for. If you're starting to get into recording, I would highly recommend starting with GarageBand and then graduating to Logic Pro, because it is a more elevated version of its younger brother. I completely understand and acknowledge the fact that there are hundreds of other DAWs out there that are incredible, like Pro Tools, Ableton Live, Cubase. The best software, the best tool, the best instrument is the one that you have, is the one that you know. I've tried to kind of switch over to Pro Tools and I've tried Ableton, and I realized I'm kind of ending up with the same result, but it's taken me a lot longer because I just don't know these programs as well as I do Logic. So I found all these software companies are competing with each other, and they're all kind of doing the same thing. At the end of the day, it's not going to be so audible that you can distinguish them between each other. Moral of the story is pick a tool, master it, and stick with it. So another thing that I use that I would consider is just as important as the computer and is kind of like the heart of the studio as well is the external audio interface that I use to record pretty much everything around me. Basically, the job of the audio interface is that it acts as an external sound card, which is normally at a higher quality and converts analog signal to digital signal, which then gets sent to your computer. So it's important to have a good audio interface that is connected to the computer rather than trying to use the stock sound card that is sold with your computer. I personally have had a lot of luck with Focusrite, and I've been using them for pretty much since I started recording. Now what I have is the Focusrite. It's called the Liquid Sapphire 56. This is an absolute beast. It's got 56 ins and outs, and I don't need nearly as many as the inputs that I have on this thing. but the reason why I got it is because I love the liquid preamps that it has on input 1 and 2. And basically what this means is that it can change the different preamps to Model 2 preamp, some other famous ones that they have on there. So the next most important thing that I could possibly think of in this studio setup would be these two monitors that I have over here. I literally mix all of my music on these speakers, and they've done me pretty well so far. They're not the best in the market. There's always going to be something a little bit more expensive and a lot better than what you have. You have to kind of just be okay with whatever you can afford and work with that. So this is kind of what my situation is at right now, but I would like to upgrade at some point or another. Unfortunately, they've been discontinued since, and I've had them for quite a few years now. I bought them at an auction at a recording studio that went bankrupt, but if these are monitors that are good enough for a state-of-the-art recording studio, they're definitely good enough for me. So I kind of just never looked back since, and I've trusted them, and they sound incredible. So this microphone I'm actually very emotionally attached to. It is the Rode K2, and it's a tube microphone. I've had it for, I bought it in 2011, so it's been like 7 years that it's been in my studio, and let me tell you, it is an absolute workhorse. I've used it on literally everything that I can imagine that I have recorded to date. Used, and the first thing that I noticed was that the sound was a little bit lackluster, so I just did a little bit of Googling, and since it is a tube mic, you could actually unscrew this and you can replace that. So first thing I did was I went on eBay, found a replacement valve, and I put it in there, which is why a lot of you might notice who are Rode users that the little button here is on the wrong side. Well, that's because I installed it in the opposite direction. It sounds so good. It gives me those sweet, buttery, full vocals that you guys are used to hearing in my recordings. Okay, headphones. I've had a battle of headphones for a very long time until this year I recently discovered that the headphones that I've been using are not closed back. They're just your typical noise canceling headphones, which I thought were the best choice up until I realized that all of my acoustic guitar recordings ended up with click bleed, and for some reason I just never knew that they're not made to record audio, and I realized that closed back headphones are the way to go if you're recording anything that requires you to mic something and to hear a click in your ear. Through moving around the country, I found myself being put in a situation where I needed to downsize the studio in order for it to be mobile enough, but through doing that I found that it was actually a lot more freeing to not have as much stuff, and as a result the space ended up looking a lot cleaner, feeling cleaner, more minimalist. So it's just something to consider on your end. If you have a lot of hardware and gadgets that you aren't using, I would highly recommend just selling them. The rule here is that if you haven't used it in 2 consecutive months, you don't need it, so go ahead and sell it. I can't think of anything in this room that I haven't used for 2 consecutive months, otherwise I would have gotten rid of it. That's my rule. There's always going to be better gear, more expensive gear out there for you to buy and for you to lust over, but if you're not using it and if you're not creating consistently, ask yourself if you really deserve the upgrade, because the stuff can get really freaking expensive. So with that said, I would like to wish you guys all the best in your creative endeavors, and if you have ideas for any future videos, please leave them in the comments below. And as always, all the usual stuff, if you like this video, please hit that thumbs up, share it if you have a friend that could be inspired by my minimalist setup, and until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much. Take care.